Mikado V8 was released last night. So what's changed? First off, if you're having problems installing it, there is a guide on the VStabby site. I've linked to it below. One thing that isn't completely clear is to do step 2, update VBar EVO. It has to be done through the devices page on VStabby. When you click on apps for your VBar EVO, you will see two new options for V8 Pro and V8 Rescue. You need to click Load App to enable the load onto your VBar EVO. One other thing to note is that the menu system has not changed for any of the other VBars. When I plug my Neo in, I get the original lower menu and side menus, so there's no need to stay away from updates because of concerns around new things that you may have to get used to. Those menus still stay the same. Let's go through the devices page first to see what's changed before we start installing. Under my VBar Control Touch Setup apps, there is a new option called VBar EVO V8 Pro Setup. There are no other changes in any of the other apps, but while you're here, just check that you have the auto install loaded. In step 1, they recommend turning on the auto install notification. Now most people will have this installed already as it is responsible for detecting new hardware and installing any apps that are needed. I already had this installed, and while I was in devices, I installed the new V8 Setup app. But it will install in step 3 of the guide anyway if you don't. I would definitely run the update on the VBar control just to make sure you're up to date. If you install the auto install app, it's likely that this will install any update at the same time, but I like to run this occasionally to make sure it hasn't missed anything. Next is step 2, update the VBar EVO. As mentioned before, this must be done on the devices page under your VBar EVO apps. Click Load next to the V8 Pro or V8 Rescue. In general, very few of the menus have changed. The only changes have been to the flight parameters options, and not all of them. Collective curve, for example, stays exactly the same. The Mainrotor menu is where we see the first major change. Menu items have been shifted around, split into groups, and we have additional extended menus, a bit like the original V-Control Classic. Exponential and agility are in the same place, although now grouped under stick control values, and agility goes up to 200. There are two additional values called Stick Direct and Control Response. Stick Direct is half the agility by default, so we can assume that this has just been renamed from the original optimizer value. Control Response defaults to 35 and goes from 10 to 100, so this is a new value. The help just states that this is the response characteristic to stick signals. Gain has been moved lower into a group called Control Loop Values, and this now goes up to 480. This group includes Integral, which seems to do the same thing as before. The next group is Output Values. This has Collective Balance and a new Stop Support option. Collective Balance now goes up to 100 but still defaults to 35. Stop Support defaults to 20 and goes from 0 to 100. There's not much in the help about this one, so I guess we'll see what it does in flight. Mainrotor Reset is an interesting new option. It allows you to quickly reset the options in this menu to one of 4 settings. That'll be fun to try at the field for quick changes. A few of the original options in the Mainrotor menu have now been bundled into a new sub-menu called Extended Values. In here we'll find Lightness and Eye Discharge under Control Loop Values, and Shiver Filter and Elevator Precomp under Output Values. These seem to do the same things as they did before. There is a Reset Expert extended button as well. This seems to be a common thing, so I wonder if they're trying to make it easier to support by being able to tell people just reset instead of trawling through every single value. So what's missing from the old menus? Style has gone, helicopter size has gone, paddle sim has gone, pitch pump is missing, and automatic optimizer. These are some interesting omissions, as I would have thought pitch pump would have stayed, as some pilots swear by it. Another prominent thing that seems to have disappeared is helicopter size. It's not moved to any of the other setup menus, so I can only assume it's no longer necessary. Previously it was used to set the ratios between things like PID so that styles and gains would scale evenly without having to adjust other settings. So I guess that's no longer required. In the Tailrotor menu there are similar changes. Exponential is still top of the list. Yaw rate has been renamed to rotation rate and now goes up to 200. This is still not in degrees per second, which is something we've seen with most other flybarless systems. Control response is new with a default of 70 and a range of 0 to 200. The help is slightly more helpful this time in that it says it relates to acceleration and deceleration of the tail. Heli stated in the live stream that the unit is now capable of 2000 degrees per second, which is around 6 rotations. Gain has been moved into a Control Loop Values group, and this now goes up to 200. And in this group we also have Proportional, Integral, and Tail Wag Suppression, which appear to do the same thing as before. The precoms for collective and cyclic have been moved to an output values group, and at the bottom we have reset again with the 4 defaults. And as with the main rotor, some tail rotor settings have been moved to an extended submenu. This contains eye limiter, eye discharge, differential and stop gains under a control loop values group. Output values now contain the 3 optimizers for A, B and automatic optimizer, and under that we have a button to reset all of your extended tail rotor values. Note that this doesn't change any of the values in the normal menu, only the extended values. So is anything missing from the original tail rotor values? As far as I can tell, it's just a reorganization, along with yaw being renamed rotation and tail acceleration renamed to control response. Obviously under the hood a lot will have changed, but we'll have to fly it to find out. Under the governor menu, head speed is still at the top in its own group called stick control values. Gain has been moved down into control loop values. Here we'll find low throttle limit, which has been renamed from min throttle. It appears to have the same 2 functions, being the point the governor will engage during spool up and also the value the ESC will not drop beyond while in governed flight. Run up limit has been bumped from the bottom of the menu to here, but it still works the same. And there is a new group called output values, which contain your basic throttle, collective and cyclic add, as well as auto rotation throttle. At the bottom there's a reset button, although this won't have the 4 options, just a regular reset. And there's the new extended menu button. I'm not sure I'm a fan of this extended menu, as I quite like the values all being in a single, easy to scan list, but we'll see what happens over time, as the Neo menus still function the old way. The extended submenu for the tail rotor has a group called control loop values that contains integral and your proportional limits. Collective dynamic is in its own output values group, and there is the now normal extended reset button. So other than a reorder, rename, grouping, submenu thing, these options look to be exactly the same. Model trim is the last option under the flight parameters options. Now the only thing that seems to have changed here is that it's no longer possible to enable the auto trim flight manually by ticking the box. You have to use the trigger switch. I'm not sure why they've changed this, perhaps for safety reasons because pilots were setting this while flying, or maybe it skewed the values while landing after hovering, who knows. The last thing to change has been the lower or quick menu, so when you scroll down you'll see this has changed quite a bit. For each of the banks, you can now change agility, control response and gain on the main rotor. Style has been removed as it no longer exists. For the tail rotor, you can change rate, control response and gain. So they've added control response compared to the previous version, which is nice. And the ESC and RPM options have become one button so that you can change these on the left the same as you could before. They've removed the old helicopter icon to make more space and have gone with a 3-column layout, which allows the buttons to be a bit wider, which is nice. You can also go from here directly to the main rotor and tail rotor menus by clicking the ellipsis buttons. Weirdly, you can also do a complete reset of all your flight parameters by pressing the top left ellipsis. I don't think it's something you do often, so perhaps it's been left in there from development. I was expecting to see the governor menu when I clicked that. In general, this looks really interesting. Instead of adding options to compete with systems like Rotorflight, they've actually reduced the values you can change, which makes it even simpler. And at the same time, they've tweaked the language slightly to get rid of older and ambiguous terms. If it flies as well as they say it does, I think this is going to be a great change for VBar. Very few people have reported issues with the update so far. There have been a few cases of having to roll back and retries to get it to install, and there's been one report of blank screens, so in general, it sounds like this upgrade has been successful. One interesting thing that came out of the live stream was that the VBar Control Classic will be no longer supported at the end of the year. To be fair, they've kept the updates going for many years, and it's probably about time to let this one go. In the next videos, I'll be replacing the Neo on my Gemini with the VBar EVO and doing a fresh setup. We'll do some flying and I'll let you know how it goes. Let me know if you have any questions or how you're finding V8. Until next time.